Hello and welcome to KXII 12 News Now. My name is Robin Key. It is currently 12:30 on this Tuesday, September 30th. Yeah, that's right, October is tomorrow. I don't really believe it either. Thank you for joining us for your midday news update. Let's get into your Texoma headlines. Oklahoma State Superintendent Ryan Walters is expected to resign today. His office confirmed that he is stepping down to begin his new role leading an anti-teacher union organization, the Teachers Freedom Alliance. Governor Kevin Stitt will appoint someone to finish out the final 15 months of his term. Folks in Whitesboro are getting hit with a big tax bill. The city council voted to adopt a 51% property tax increase at last night's meeting. Neighbors came out to voice their concerns one final time in a packed city hall. One resident, who's a longtime friend of the councilors, can't believe they took this path.
The fact that they're not listening to us as the people, and the fact that I've known most of them since I was a baby, and they still went against our city's wishes, it really hurt. It hit.
But the city council insisted the tax increase is needed to keep up with the town's growth. Sherman leaders will host an economic roundtable on Friday. It's open to the public, so residents can learn where the Sherman stands financially and how its leaders plan to promote growth.
We believe that we have a very unique situation here in Sherman. We have everything from Fortune 500 companies all the way down to local small businesses that are kind of that jewel for towns our size, right? And we realize that we're fortunate we have it, and we enjoy that kind of business in Sherman.
Now, this will be at the Kid Key Auditorium Friday morning at 9:30 if you would like to attend. Sunday morning, Colbert had 19 car burglaries in a 2-hour span, mainly on the east side of town. Victims of the theft says that money, keys, papers, and more were taken out of their vehicles and found their cars left a mess. Sharon Hugh woke up to find something missing that will take a while to replace.
It's like, who in the heck stole my truck, and why would they steal my truck? So I went over to my brother, just left, and I said, did you hear anybody take my truck? He's like, I didn't hear anything. And I was like, what? And it was just a big surprise that it was gone.
Colbert Police and the Bryan County Sheriff's Office are still investigating. Governor Stitt says the Oklahoma Highway Patrol and ICE have conducted a sweep along I-40 under Operation Guardian. It targeted commercial truck drivers. Stitt said 130 illegal immigrants were apprehended from multiple counties, and that many of the commercial truck drivers were operating with licenses from so-called sanctuary cities, saying they posed a safety threat to Oklahomans. Now, this is connected to the story that we shared yesterday when Texas DPS announced that it is ending commercial driver's licenses for non-citizens who are refugees and DACA recipients. This comes after an emergency rule change yesterday by the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. The organization says that these changes come after 3 fatal crashes this year in Florida, Texas, and Alabama. Officials say that these wrecks were caused by immigrant truck drivers who never should have received commercial driver's licenses or CDLs in the first place. Yesterday, we explained the Austin Yogurt Shop murders, a horrific unsolved crime from 1991. Now we have the update from the Austin police that we've been waiting on. In 1991, 4 teenage girls, Eliza Thomas, Jennifer and Sarah Habden, and Emma Ayers, were tied up, shot, and set on fire at the Austin shop. Over the years, there have been arrests, convictions, and even a death sentence, but all were overturned. Recently, new technology connected this man, Robert Eugene Brashers, with the only physical evidence left at the scene, DNA found underneath the fingernails of the girls. The district attorney says that once the investigation is officially closed, he will apologize to the men who had been wrongfully convicted for the murders. A second detainee who was shot at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement Office facility in Dallas has died. Miguel Angel Garcia Hernandez was one of the 3 detainees shot in the attack last week. A Homeland Security official says the 32-year-old died while still hospitalized after the shooting. Nolan Guzman Fluentes, a 37-year-old El Salvadorian national, died the day of the attack. The third victim remains hospitalized. The gunman, 29-year-old Joshua John, who reportedly had ties to Durant, died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound at the scene. Now, we have a lot more news for you coming up, all of your big national stories, and then a few things from sort of the pop culture that you're going to definitely want to know. So do not even think about exiting out now. Stay with us. We will be right back after this short break. Welcome back to KXII 12 News Now. We are getting ready to go into our national stories. Now, these are the stories that we've been following in some cases, and then a few new ones. But let's really get into what you need to know that is going on beyond Texoma today. Authorities are working to determine a motive in Sunday's church attack in Grand Blanc, Michigan, that left a small community shattered. The alleged gunman, an Iraq war veteran who made disparaging comments about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in the weeks before, drove his vehicle into the chapel, opened fire on congregants, and then set the building on fire. 4 people were killed and 8 were injured. Now, all the missing people have been accounted for, but the victims have still yet to be publicly identified. Officials said it could have been worse if not for the heroic response of several congregants who shielded children and helped the wounded. Thank you to those who risked their lives to help save the lives of others. I'm sure that we'll be hearing more stories from that as the week goes on. Now, we have some news from the military gathering called by the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Today, he and President Donald Trump declared an end to politically correct leadership in the U.S. military. Today, both spoke before an unusual gathering of hundreds of top U.S. military officials who were abruptly summoned to Virginia from around the world. President Donald Trump revealed that he wants to use American cities as training grounds for armed forces. He and Hegseth both declared an end to woke culture in the military. Now, what does that mean? Well, Hegseth announced new directives for troops that include gender-neutral or male-level standards for physical fitness. This includes top military leaders. He said that military leaders should do the, quote, honorable thing and resign, unquote, if they don't like his new approach. In the meantime, the U.S. government is on the brink of the first shutdown in almost 7 years amid partisan standoffs. Democrats and Republicans in Congress are unable to find an agreement even as thousands of federal workers stand to be furloughed or laid off. The government shutdown will happen at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday. Yeah, so midnight tonight. If the Senate does not pass a House measure that would extend federal funding for 7 weeks. Senate Democrats say that they won't vote for it unless Republicans include an extension of expiring health care benefits, among other demands. Democrats say that it is in the president's hands now. Trump and fellow Republicans are refusing to negotiate. So what happens during a shutdown? Well, when a lapse in funding occurs, the law requires agencies to cease activity and furlough non-accepted employees. Accepted employees include those who work to protect life and property. They stay on the job, but don't get paid until after the shutdown ends. During the 35-day partial shutdown in Trump's first term, 340,000 of the 800,000 federal workers at affected agencies were furloughed. The remainder were accepted and required to work. What government does work? What government work continues during a shutdown. Well, actually, a great deal. The FBI investigators, CIA officers, air traffic controllers, and agents operating airport checkpoints do keep working. So do members of the armed forces. These programs that rely on mandatory spending also generally continue during a shutdown. So this is Social Security payments, those continue to go out. Seniors relying on Medicare coverage can still see their doctors and healthcare providers and submit payment claims for payments to be reimbursed. Veteran health care also continues during the shutdown, and veteran affairs medical centers and outpatient clinics will be open. The VA benefits will continue to be proceed and delivered. Burials will continue at VA national cemeteries. Will furlough federal workers still get paid? Well, yes. In 2019, Congress passed a bill enshrining into law the requirement that furloughed employers get retroactive pay once operations resume. While they'll eventually get paid, the furloughed workers and those who will remain on the job may have to go without one or more of their regular paychecks, depending on how long the shutdown lasts. And this will create financial stress for many families. Those programs that rely on mandatory spending also generally continue. Now, like we've talked about, these are all things that the government will continue to do, but what about the things that the government will not do? Well, all administrations get some leeway to choose which services to freeze and which to maintain in a shutdown. Each federal agency develops its own shutdown plan, and the plan outlines which agency workers would stay on during a job and which would be furloughed. In a proactive move, the White House Office of Management and Business has threatened the mass firing of federal workers in a shutdown. An OMB memo said that the programs that didn't get funding through Trump's mega bill this summer would bear the brunt of a shutdown. That would be a much more aggressive step than in previous shutdowns when furloughed federal workers returned to their jobs once Congress approved government spending. A reduction in the force would not only lay off employees, but eliminate their positions entirely, which would trigger another massive upheaval in a federal workforce that's already faced major rounds of cuts this year due to efforts from the Department of Government Efficiency and elsewhere in Trump's Republican administration. But what will get shut down, or at least what has been shut down in the past? Well, some agencies have recently updated plans on their websites. Others still have plans that were last updated months or like a year ago, providing an indication of past precedent that could guide the Trump administration. So here are some things from those websites. Health and Human Services will furlough about 41% of its staff. The remaining employees will keep up activities needed to protect human life and property. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention will continue to monitor for disease outbreaks. Direct medical services through the Indian Health Services and the National Institute of Health Clinical Centers will remain available. However, CDC communication to the public will be hampered, and NIH will not admit new patients to the clinical center, except whom it's extremely medically necessary. At the Food and Drug Administration, its, quote, ability to promote and protect public health and safety would be significantly impacted, with many activities delayed or paused, unquote, on their website. For example, the agency would not accept new drug applications or medical device submissions that require the payment of a user fee. The Education Department will furlough about 1,500 of 1,700 employees, excluding federal student aid workers. The department will continue to disperse student aid, such as Pell Grants and federal direct student loans. Student loan borrowers will still be required to make their payments on their outstanding debt. The National Park Service, well, as a general rule, if a facility or area is inaccessible during non-business hours, it will be locked down for the duration of the lapse in funding, as said a March 2024 plan. At parks where it is impractical or impossible to restrict public access, staffing will vary by park. So those are things that will remain open. That is how things will be affected during the shutdown. You will still get mail, you will still get your Social Security. However, your Social Security might look a little different. U.S. government is phasing out paper checks. So here's what that would look like for you. The change starts today and affects recipients of benefits like Social Security, Supplement Security Income, and tax refunds. Nearly 400,000 Social Security and SSI recipients still rely on paper checks currently. The Director of Social Security and Disability Policy at the Center of Budget and Policy Priorities says many of these people lack access to digital services. However, President Donald Trump's Republican administration says that electronic payments and collections will speed up processing and cut costs. The Social Security Administration says it will continue issuing paper checks if the beneficiary has no mean of payment. No mean to receive payment other than the paper checks, excuse me. So that's what the shutdown will look like. Those are some changes happening in the administration right now. Will it happen? Well, we will keep you updated. Make sure to watch tonight at 6 and 10, and we will give you updates until the last minute. But there's a good chance that you'll wake up tomorrow and we might be shut down. So moving into sort of a different economic issue, trouble may be brewing for what many of us consider a necessity. The price of a pound of coffee has jumped more than $2.50 compared to last year, and President Trump's tariffs are partially to blame. In April, most countries got hit with a 10% tariff in addition to another hike recently. Brazil now has a 50% tax. So as you can see, these are generally, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, what things used to cost. And then here are some of the countries that are facing taxes that we get our coffee from. So what are experts saying?
If prices go up a few pennies, 4 or 5 cents across the board, we're hoping that that doesn't necessarily turn off our everyday customers to say like all of a sudden this feels completely out of whack with what I was expecting to pay. We would only be doing these things if it's a real economic impact or squeeze that we're feeling. It's definitely not something we love to do or feel comfortable doing, but to protect the business and protect our team, it's just a necessity right now, unfortunately.
Another issue hitting coffee makers, bad weather in Brazil and Vietnam, has hampered production. Starbucks said during a recent earnings call that customers should not expect price increases until the first half of 2026, but the brand behind Folgers, Café Busto, and Dunkin' at-home products said earlier this summer it will likely hike prices for the third time this year. Now, DoorDash has unveiled a new delivery robot. Meet Dot. Dot is fully autonomous, all electric, about the size of 1/10 of a car, and can reach speeds up to 20 miles per hour. It can use bike lanes, sidewalks, and roads to deliver orders in a timely manner. Dot will start delivering in Phoenix, Arizona, with hopes of expanding to more cities in the future. I've got to know. Do you want Dot? Do you want Dot running around in the streets? Please let us know. Please comment. I have to know if we want Dot. I am obsessed with the QT robots. The QT robots that mop on the floors. I think that those are really cute. So I'm kind of pro robot right now from that exclusive situation. I don't know how I feel about Dot. I want you guys to weigh in. More news that you are definitely going to want to keep an eye on. Super Bowl 60 is months away, but we now know who will perform at the halftime show. It is 3-time Grammy Award winner Bad Bunny. The NFL and Apple Music made the announcement on Sunday evening. Bad Bunny released his latest album last January. It was his 6th solo album. Rumors had swirled for months that another pop singer, Taylor Swift, might head the halftime show, but because she was engaged to Kansas City Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. However, earlier this month, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell hinted that Swift might be performing during a TV interview, but that didn't happen. And now Bad Bunny will be headlining the show. I'm very excited. I first saw him when he was in Bullet Train, the movie, and I really liked his performance. I enjoy his music. I'm going to be looking forward to it. I hope that you guys will let us know what you think. Now, if you have enjoyed this KXII 12 News Now, we will be here tomorrow. Same time, 12:30, same place, our KXII live streams and YouTube Live. But absolutely need more Channel 12 today? I understand you. Don't worry. You can tune in on the 4, 5, 6, and 10, so there is still plenty more Channel 12 for you. And then wish that there was more to these stories, or there had a bit more detail, or you could watch full packages that we don't usually air here. Well, just go to KXII.com to find all of our full reporting. Also, don't forget to follow us on all of our socials. That's Facebook, Instagram, Threads, X, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. There you'll find constant updates, exclusive content, and all of our stories, new and old. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a nice night, Texoma.